Hi everybody, let's talk about starting your seeds indoors so we can get a jump start on the growing season. Now before you go on a shopping spree like I did, it's important to know your growing zone and your last frost date. My last frost date is April 19th. And the reason that's important is because I'm not gonna put anything tender outside before that. And I'm probably even gonna wait more towards the end of April just in case we have a surprise cold snap. These are annuals that I'm going to be growing. I have flowers that I do every year, and then I also have vegetables that we grow every year. And an annual means that it's going to grow for one season, produce fruit, produce seeds, and then it's going to die and not come back the next year. These are very tender when it comes to cold temperatures. And so while there are winter flowers and winter vegetables, I'm getting geared up for the summer growing season. So I'm going to make sure that I don't put anything outside before my last frost date. So look those two things up and then you're going to be good to go. Now, when it comes to choosing seeds, I have a lot of websites that I really like. I've had a great experience from all of them. Good customer service, good product, good quality, great germination. Here's what I recommend. Okay, how much money did you just go spend? I got my credit card taken away last year. We're oversharing, aren't we? Anyway, so now that you know your growing zone and that has helped you to choose the best seeds possible for your location, there's a few other components that you're gonna need in order to do this well. Let's talk about your soil. So everything's gonna grow in soil unless you're doing hydroponics, which I don't know nothing about. So the soil that I'm gonna be using, I've used a million different brands and I don't value one over the other. This was cheap, this was available, so I got the Jiffy. It is very light and fluffy. Now, you could definitely try to go outside and gather some of your native soil and try to grow seedlings inside of it. That's not gonna work for me because we have red clay here in North Carolina. Red clay, although I love it and I will die on this hill, it retains moisture very well and it holds on to its nutrients and minerals exceedingly well, but it compacts very easily and it's not ideal for a little seed. That first little root that it grows out is extremely tender and it's very hard to grow anything in compact soil. That's why a lot of gardeners bring in compost and specialty soil for carrots or any kind of root vegetable. So go ahead and get something that's light and fluffy. This one says seed starting mix, so that's what I'm gonna go with. The other thing that you're gonna need is something to grow them inside. So I love these little trays right here with all these little cells in them. I have used these for the past, I don't know how many years, and I've compared that to growing in other things. Now, some people like to grow in eggshells or egg cartons or the little peat moss jars, but I have seen the most successful root system grown inside these right here. My problem with the cardboard or with the eggs or in the little peat pots is that if the roots needed to continue to grow after that, none of those decompose quickly enough for a single growing season. So we have 7 months of growing season here, and by the time that I'm ready to transplant that peat pot outside, I have found that the peat pot did not dissolve within that growing season when I'm like tilling up the soil later, and it is still very much intact. So I would rather just take out a whole naked root ball from this and put it right in the soil with nothing to impede its roots from growing further. The other thing that you're gonna need is a light system. We don't have a lot of sunlight here in North Carolina in the winter. It's very dull, and I know Alaska is probably laughing their head off at me, but it's been a dreary winter, okay? So you need some kind of grow light. You could try growing in a south-facing window. We simply don't have enough. I mean, it's been raining for like 12 years this winter already, so I need more sunlight. Now, last year I had a very expensive grow light that my mother-in-law bought for me for Christmas, and it worked wonderfully, but I'm growing a lot more this year than I was last year, so I need more lights. So I went on this deep Google dive and went hunting for really cheap grow lights. Lowe's has these for $14.99. They're 2 feet long, and they are a grow light, LED under cabinet grow light. It includes the clip and the chains for mounting and blah, 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 and they're actually set up right behind me because I'm actually gonna grow in my kitchen this year. Rabbit trail. I grew it in my closet last year and the plants got a little bit neglected and I did not monitor the water or the humidity domes very well simply because out of sight, out of mind, I'm not spending a whole bunch of time in my closet. And so I'm going to put them somewhere that I can monitor them, and I'm in this kitchen cooking for 6 people 3 times a day. So I'm definitely gonna have a better eye on the whole seedling situation. So you have your growing container, you have your light, you have your soil. now you need some sort of heat system. We use grow mats. Let me get one. Here are the grow mats. I did see these available in Lowe's in a really small quantity, but of course Amazon has everything. These were about $29 last year. I have 6 or 7 of them, and I have not checked the current price. I know that inflation is really crazy this year, so I apologize if you cannot find them for as cheap as they once were. But the great thing about buying all this stuff, like when I went on this shopping spree last year, I still have about 10 trays that I bought from this place. Oh, what was it? And they are in amazing shape. So I bought higher quality things that I can use over and over and over again. So it's worth the investment if you know you're gonna be into gardening for a long time. You really, smack myself on the face. There's a few other methods out there for growing your seedlings. For example, you could winter sow your vegetables. I love seeing people use the milk cartons where they put soil in it, cut it halfway off, put your seeds in it, put it on, and it's like a miniature greenhouse. And some people, even in snowy conditions, they're seeing seedlings emerge because the dome is keeping the heat and the moisture in, and there's plenty of sunlight being kept inside the dome. I don't do that because of all the wildlife that we live out in the sticks. So we've got so much wildlife. I also have a lot of barn cats, but we also have a ton of chickens that free range on our property, and they love microgreens, which every seedling is a microgreen to them. So I have to be really careful about putting anything outside and not having my chickens contained. So this is what's gonna work for me this year. Now, let's talk about how to get our soil ready for going inside the little cells. Now, you really want to pre-moisten your soil. So I'm going to put all my soil into this old toy bin that my kids don't use anymore. The reason you're gonna wanna pre-moisten your soil is because when it comes time to water after you've put your seeds in, there is a chance that you could disrupt the seed from where it is laying. And there are gonna be seeds that have a very specific way that they need to be in their little cells. Some are gonna be planted 1/4 of an inch deep, some 1/2 an inch, some are gonna be laying on top covered with vermiculite. Some of them need to have sunlight in order to germinate. And so if you were to pour water on top of them after you've already got your seeds situated in there, then you risk your seed becoming disrupted, even like flowing off into another cell, and then you've got one that's overcrowded and one that's completely doesn't have any seeds in it. It's a whole mess, just trust me, okay? You don't need it like sopping wet, because then you're just gonna rot your seed. What I'm looking for is to be able to hold for my soil to be able to hold its shape when I squeeze it, but not squeeze out a ton of extra water. So that is about right. Woohoo. If you're wondering why I'm doing this process inside and getting my kitchen dirty, it's because that's what's great about being a grown-up. You can do whatever you want. And it's time to fill our little seed tray. One thing that I really love about these cell trays is that it comes with a humidity dome. The ones that I got from Bootstrap Farmer are incredibly sturdy. These will probably last 1, maybe 2 seasons, but the Bootstrap Farmer ones, highly recommend shopping from that website and getting the sturdier of all of the whatever is available because it's gonna last for like 10 years. So let's go ahead and fill up our seed trays. This is so much fun. You know, if you haven't joined our channel, we are a healing homestead. We moved out here because I needed a therapeutic lifestyle. I've had a lot of childhood trauma that I'm still recovering from, and it's affected my health. And we decided to put me in an environment that was just extremely healing. And you know, growing plants is one of the most therapeutic things that you can do. I'm also an art teacher. I love to watercolor and do all the things. And when I teach children, I'm just amazed at how different children think than adults, because they will keep smearing paint on a canvas until everything dries up or it's time to go home. And they simply paint for the process. The end goal doesn't matter to them. It's the moment of manipulating paint that's just doing something miraculous and beautiful and therapeutic in the brain. And gardening can be a lot like that. So I love the idea of gardening for the process. Of course, it's wonderful if the garden can feed us, but the process of getting your hands in the soil and watching something grow and taking care of it, it makes you physically very active. I'm prone to long bouts of depression that would keep me in the bed. But when I have got, you know, a tomato plant that I'm extremely proud of and I want to eat all of its tomatoes, that really gets me up and out of bed. So growing for the process is a 10 out of 10 recommend. All right, let me show you the seeds that I'm going to be putting in this thing. All right, here I have some chives that I'm going to be planting, and let's go ahead and start getting them opened and put into the little cell trays. Now, chives, it's funny that I would be growing chives because neither I nor my husband really love chives, but they are very, very valuable because these are going to be going around the perimeter of our entire garden. And the reason is because they have a strong odor, and deer really do not enjoy anything with a strong odor. So basil, onion, although onion not always has a strong smelling top, but chives definitely do. Oregano, catnip, catmint. There's all kinds of very aromatic plants that you could plant. They don't like the smell of marigold either, which neither do I. I mean, honestly, who does? But planting a whole bunch of these. Imagine having 72. Wow, what did I do? I'm talking and not paying attention. Imagine having 72 plants in a border around your garden. Not only is that just going to be beautiful, chef's kiss, because look at those blooms, but chives are perennial. And so I'm planting something that is going to come back to me year after year. Now, I am planting these a little bit early, but for the sake of this video and helping everybody else out there get started, I don't mind getting these planted early. Now, I'm overseeding, which means that I'm putting way too many in there. I have plenty to spare. I'm not being precious with them. I also really want a good germination rate. If I were to have very expensive seeds, like last year I bought very expensive pumpkin seeds, I was very precious with them. I only put one seed in every hole, and we had 99.9 germination rate. So it worked out great. But with something like this that has a ton of seeds, and you're just really needing, 100% germination rate, don't be precious with it. Just go ahead and throw it on. Now, what I'm going to do is add a little bit of soil on top, because right here on my seed packet, it's telling me the planting depth. It's not going to focus, is it? And it says to plant it 1/4 inch deep. So rather than push them all on, rather than like try to push them down, I'm just going to add soil on top and lightly press down. Then when I'm done, I'm going to add my humidity dome and put it under the light. Then we should see some results in 15 to 21 days. This feels like when you're making cake pops and you have to crumble up all of the warm cake and then form it into balls. It's really fun. If you're looking for a very, very easy first thing to grow, I have a couple of recommendations. When it comes to like a flower that's extremely easy to grow, I would recommend cosmos and zinnias. They are so reliable, they're so easy, they're not fussy, and you don't even have to start them in seedling trays. The other thing I'd recommend planting is tomatoes. Tomatoes are not very fussy. Now there's a lot that you can do to ensure their success, but they're very prolific. So if you want to feel like so successful as a gardener, plant tomatoes. I mean, you'll be eating tomato sandwiches all summer. Now, the other really cool thing about having a seedling tray like this is how easy it is to water it. You're simply going to lift this up and pour your water down into this reservoir, and the soil is going to wick it up from the bottom, and it's going to drink that way. So I'm going to put this dome on, and let's go put it over here under our grow lights. One thing you really need to do with your grow lights is to put it as close down to the soil level as you possibly can. If it is very far away, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a very leggy, a very tall and very weak stem on any plant that you're growing, and that is not going to transplant well. You're going to have a very subpar variety of whatever you're trying to grow. In order to grow a very healthy and strong stem, keeping the grow light close to the soil level means that it's not going to elongate and become thin and spindly and weak. So keep your grow light very, very close to whatever is growing, and then as the seedling grows, you can pull this grow light up in increments along this chain. So keep it down low, and now I'm going to put the germination mat under it. The really great thing about both of these components is that LED lights notoriously are great money savers because they don't use a lot of electricity and your heating mat is not very hot. And so it's just going to use minimal energy in order to create that heat and the light that these seedlings need to grow. When your seedlings start to get a little bit taller, it's probably time to remove the humidity dome. The humidity dome mainly plays a role in keeping your seeds evenly moist so that germination can have a higher rate of effectiveness. So once they are a certain height, I go ahead and take it off because if you have a lot of humidity and anaerobic air, then what you're going to get is a great breeding ground for fungal activity. So don't keep your dome on indefinitely. Take it off when you see that your seedlings have really started to emerge, and then give them plenty of air circulation to prevent all those fungal issues. I hope that today's video has been helpful for you. I hope you start some seeds indoors. It brings a little bit of spring into the home, just a little bit early, and is great for the spirits, but it can also be great for your belly because you're growing your own food. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.